Oh, here we go. The top window that we see now is the development environment Holonforth that Wolf Weigart of Switzerland has developed over the last 30 years, I guess. And it's the latest incarnation of it called Holonforth. You can download this on GitHub and do your own experiments. And early versions of Holon were developed for use under DOS for the IBM PC at that time, and also for embedded systems using Motorola HC6811 chips. And the nice thing about Holon is that it structures your application in a hierarchical way, as we see here. So you have chapters, you have sections, and you have units, and within a chapter you have a collection of sections, and within each section you have a collection of units. And this maps very well to Forth programs, which means these are application areas, sections are parts of a file, so to say, and then you have collection of words within each section. Yeah, and and then it's very easy to move around and find appropriate places by just a couple of keystrokes. You can do this, and also if you go there, you see things are, let me see how this is, things highlight here, and you have hypertext reference of your things. So if I'm clicking here, then I'm jumping to the goodbye word that we have. So automatically Holon indexes the source code that you have, so you have very easy navigation of within your source code of your application. So, right. We had old Holon work with embedded systems, these HC11 boards, and I thought it might be reasonable to also use this for development of embedded system nowadays. And so what I thought is maybe I can combine Holon with ESP32Forth. I don't want to say a lot about ESP32Forth here, because everyone knows this here, because it's a quite popular system in this group. Right. And so what Holon does for interactive development is that if you have a word, and let's see, a word like this, for example, and let me see, yeah, a word like this here, for example, then you can just go, it has an integrated editor, and you can just go ahead and modify it in the editor. And if you want then to add the modification that you did to your application, you just click on the load button here. And this is essentially prepares a file with a modification, and the system that you are going to program is supposed to pick up this modification and integrate it into the application program. That's the way that the modern things work. And then you can develop web pages with this, or desktop applications, using Tickle, for example, or using Holonforth that Wolf Weigart also provides. And I thought, yeah, it would be nice if we can use this with ESP32Forth. And so what you see on the left is a running application. Yeah, and you see it says hello Holonforth and ESP32 words, so that's my hello world program, and then it says goodbye, and there's a running counter. And so this is the structure of the program. It has the demonstration, and it has here the variable occurrences that is defined and initialized. And if I'm reloading this, because I said, oh, maybe I'm saying, I want to have this as 500, so it starts at 500 and I'm pressing load, then Holon writes out the appropriate program modification, and the environment that I built picks up the modification, brings it into ESP32Forth that is running on the left inside a loop. So what is actually happening is welcome is done in a task, doing appropriate outputs all the time. Let me see. So that's essentially the loop that we see there running. It does what it says welcome, then it says I'm doing a greeting delay of milliseconds pause, and then I'm doing this in an endless loop. So that's for demonstrating purposes. And I can now modify the running program here, which means I can go here and say, okay, no, it's add Forth2020. So maybe world here at Forth2020, and then I say load, and we see a little bit magic that's happening there, and then it loads the definition and works in a way that it replaces, unless it replaces the old definition with a new one. Different from what I've just been talking about with arrays, where we do redefinitions and the old definition stays intact and is reused. If you program with Holon and you do modifications, you actually want to replace the old definition with a new one. And there needs to be some capabilities to actually do this. And yeah, you can do this with a single button. To replace a definition in your code. So you have your application running on an embedded device, and if you want to modify it, then it will actually, you do the modification in Holon, you think about the structure of your program and your application in Holon, you do the modification, and as soon as you want to make a modification active, you press the load button. And the second window that we have here is the so-called monitor. And this is the one that observes the file that Holon writes and it detects the changes and does the appropriate thing. So, and then I'm changing this again, and we have a look at the left bottom. I'm doing load. And yeah, you see the change. It says I detected a change in the Holon mon file. This is how it's called. And then this change is transmitted to ESP32, replacing the old definition of hello, changing the running task that is running on the ESP32. So it's actually changing the running program. So that's this, and in the background we see it's a multitasking system. So it's not only that we have this output here and the interpreter that accepts changes to the program, but we also have Blinky running, which is a blink task, and there's a variable blink delay. And I don't know if you can see it blinking. I don't know if Zoom makes it go away, but here on the top there's a LED that does blinking with about 1 blink per second, as it used to be. And now if I'm changing the blink delay here and I'm reloading this, then the appropriate task changes, and my other task will just run as it was before. Yeah, so we're interactively changing parts of my application, which is a multitasking application, and I can change things. Of course, you have to know what you do. It's limited. If you change fundamental structures, then just redefining a single word is not sufficient to make the system still working. But it's very nice. You can do interactive programming in this structured view of your application, and that's actually very nice. So, and now how is this done? I have drawn this diagram. So on the left, we have Holon code, the viewer, the browser that we saw for the source code. And whenever you press the load button, it generates a Holon mon file with the appropriate changes. That's the source code in the unit that we changed. Then there's the Forth monitor that observes the Holon file, and whenever it detects a change, then it transforms a little bit, and then it uploads it to the ESP32 target. Yeah, the top window on the left that we saw, yeah, this one. Yeah, that's the terminal window. That allows me to see what output messages the ESP32 target actually does. That's good for debugging, of course, if there are any error messages or statistics or whatever I want to do. Not necessarily required for doing the program development, because you do the uploads by yourself using Holon this way. And of course, then you need to prepare the target in a certain way. And I structured the integration in two parts. One that I called library source code. That's all the definitions of your application that you don't intend to change. So that's not the hot part of the application. And you load this by a script in advance. And maybe you also put this in Flash. So when you reset the ESP32, it's readily available. And the second part is the application source code. That's the part of your program that you want to change or where you're currently developing it. There's also a script that does the initial load of the application source code, so that the application can run on the ESP32 target. And then once you did this, so you do this once for preparing the Flash. And if you have a new session, then you go and load the application code. Your application is running, and then you solely work from within Holon code, having the structured view of Holon to actually see how the application is structured, and you can move around and have a look at how this works. And understand what's going on, and you just work. And if you do changes, you press the load button to modify your application. If it crashes, yeah, which certainly happens if you do some programming errors, if it crashes, you just need to reload the demo application source code so that it runs, because the library code, as I said, is probably in Flash. So no need to reload this. And this can all be done with some overall script that does the appropriate loads and prepares your target. So you just go there and say, I want to develop, and then it loads the application to the target. It starts Holon to do this and present your application. So you have the source code down here. And you also have documentation areas. So if we go here and have a look, then there are some places where you can also have documentation and have a look at what's going on. Like you see, there are some comments in here as well. And these are just for documentation purposes. If you press load, they are never put in the Holon file nor uploaded to the target. So also upload is quite fast because it doesn't have any comments in it. Right. Yeah. So that's what it is, and I intend to use this for my next ESP32 project using ESP32Forth, and have a and doing structured development with Holon code on the ESP32. That's what I want to demonstrate as my second part, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thanks for listening.
Fantastic, Ulrich.
Yep, thank you very much. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Jonas here.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the website for the Holonforth. It seems to have been a terminal application before, like ANSI. I don't know what language it was written in, but it's I don't know if it would support Linux. about running in a DOS box and so on, and about the graphical environment and TCL/TK, which seems to be the option there. Do you think about that?
Yeah. So this this version that I'm currently using here uses TCL/TK to use this, and if you want to use Holon code, then the best guess is to start installing active tickle, which runs under Linux, under Windows, and also with Mac OS. And then you can use Holon. And then there's for the ESP32 integration, there's my additional repository to use that one. Does this answer your question? You can also use DOSBox and run Holon on Linux, the old DOS-based Holon there. Also the HC11 version runs there, and so Holon is public domain now, and the systems are available. You can use also the DOS versions, and I've been using this. Yeah. Yeah, and interesting enough, Holon itself is developed in Holon as well, so it's not just a simple exercise.
But is it open source, or the source is not available?
It's open source. I think it's 3PL based.
Okay, all right. I'll check it out. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Are there additional questions? No. Then,
no. There is a question.
Yeah, Christian, you could bet. Yeah.
He was writing.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay.
yeah, I cannot follow the chat while giving the talks. Yeah, you probably discussed lots of things there. I will revise them.
Okay. Could
Christian,
I go ahead?
Christian, go ahead.
Okay. Is the automatic code modification creating multiple definitions, or is it changing the live definition?
Yeah. So how I actually do this is yeah, maybe we can have a look at Holon. Let's see if we get this. Anyway, I'm just explaining. So there is, or maybe it's down here. Yeah, that's down here. So what you do is this is what is in the HolonMon, the modification that you do, and when you press load. And the transformation that I've been talking about is that it adds revise at the end. And revise is a word that I've been written for ESP32Forth. It takes the latest definition word, the defined word, finds out which name it is, and then assumes there's another word that's called the same, and it replaces the other word with a new one. Yeah, and by this you can have the old way Forth works with redefinitions. If you just do normal colon definitions, and you can have the new word way to work if you use revise. It will just replace the old definition with a new one, and then it hides the second header, so to say, so that you can repeat this process over and over again. Of course, this consumes some additional dictionary space. The old dictionary space is of the old definition is still occupied, and if you do multiple revisions, then new definitions pile up. But I didn't want to rewrite ESP32Forth to do an alternative memory management. I just wanted to have it like it is, because Brad is just doing such an outstanding work in developing ESP32Forth, and I want to benefit from his work. So I'm using his system unmodified and adding up on top of it. And that's what I came up with. So revise allows me to replace definitions that he has in the system with new definitions. Of course, if you revise something that is essential to ESP32Forth with something that is inappropriate, then the system crashes. Yeah.
And one last question. I really wanted to use Holons with any embedded system for the last 5 years and could never figure out a way to do it except with the Holonforth that only worked on PC. So looks like you have a solution for the ESP32. Do you have somewhere a procedure that shows how to obtain what you just have?
Yeah, this is essentially the README file here of the Holonforth ESP32 integration. And if you look at my GitHub page, then you find that repository. And it explains how the structure is, what ingredients you need, how you cook them to make this work. Of course, as always in Forth, you have to know what you want to do and you have to adapt the things. So it's not a push button solution, but I explain all the parts that you have there, and you have to take it and adapt it to your needs. And I don't know your needs, and you have to make it work for you appropriately. Yeah, but it's Holonforth, it's the target that you have, and I have some scripts that you take and modify to load your application appropriately. And you find also the extension to ESP32Forth that does the replacement of definitions. So all the parts are there, and you can start using just the demo program. And if it works fine with you, then you do the steps on your own.
Where do I find the document that you're showing us presently?
Yeah, I'm putting this in the GitHub in the chat. So it's the GitHub repository. I didn't actually prepare this, but let's see. We find this very